card.
Credit card repayments we're talking about this morning, aren't we?
So this is an important morning to anybody who holds a Barclaycard, which is by far the UK's biggest credit card. It is changing its minimum repayments, which sounds trivial. It sounds like it's not a big deal.
But it's not.
It really is a big deal that you need to be aware of. Now, there are many people out there who, when they repay their credit card, they just select pay the minimum payment. And the minimum payment is set up by the credit card company. In the noughties, I was involved in campaigning for regulation to make sure the minimum payments had to at least cover the interest. So they're always paying off a little bit of debt. Barclaycard had, in my view, what was a pretty good minimum repayment system. But from the 22nd of January, it's changing that. So I'll just give you an example. On a typical card right now, I mean, there's different ways this works. You would pay off 2.5% of your balance plus interest. From the 22nd of January, you're going to pay off 1% of your balance plus interest.
That's quite a big difference.
It is. It is quite a big difference. So you can see that you're paying less. Now, if we think about what this means, it means, well, currently you're paying 2.5% each month. So you would, if you didn't borrow any more, be clearing the balance. When you're paying 1%, you're not clearing the balance as quickly. You're staying in debt longer. Now, let's just look at the impact of this. Let me do the numbers for you, and you're going to see why I'm doing this as a whole topic.
There are massive repercussions.
You've got £1,000 on a credit card. You're not borrowing any more. It's at 25% APR. Under the current system, if you paid the minimum repayments, you would clear the debt with £1,000 after 9 years and 8 months, and it would cost you £700. Under the new system, and this will automatically change if you don't do anything, you'll be on the new system, instead of 9 years, 8 months, it will be 19 years and 3 months, a decade longer. Instead of £700 in interest, it will be £1,655 in interest. It will cost you £1,000 more. And that's the clarion call to anyone who has a Barclaycard right now. If you are on the minimum payments and you do nothing, you're going to leave yourself in debt for longer and you're going to pay a lot more interest.
So what should they do?
Yeah.
OK, this sounds quite weird, but instead, what happens is, as you owe less, because minimum payments is a percentage, you repay less, right? So you're only ever just clearing a little bit. Fix what you repay. Now, some people say, I can't afford to pay any more. So let me give you an example. If you have £1,000, we'll do it all under the new system to keep it simple. If you have £1,000, your monthly repayment would be £29 in the first month. Yeah. Instead of letting it drop with the minimum repayments, assuming you don't borrow any more, fix it at £29. Then, instead of 19 years and 8 months to clear it, costing you £1,650, you fix it £29, it'll cost you 4 years. It'll take you 4 years and 8 months, £620 interest. If you could fix it at £50, so you don't let the repayment drop, you don't let them drop your repayment, fix it at £50 a month, you clear it in 2 years and 2 months, and it would cost you just £260 in interest. Now, there are some cases minimum repayment works. The most important one, you've got multiple credit cards, you focus all your cash on clearing the most expensive one and you want to pay the minimums on the others. Oh, right. So a low minimum on a cheaper card is quite a good thing because you can put more cash towards the more expensive card. I mean, if you needed the cash flow temporarily to be able to drop to the minimum repayment would help you, but at least manually overpay what you can. And then there are the few people out there who are stoozers, right? Stoozers are really financially savvy people who deliberately make money out of 0% debts by building up 0% debt to save it at a high interest rate. If you're a stoozer, this is good for you, but if you're a stoozer, you don't need my help because you know what you're doing. Right?
Can I just
for most people, it's a warning.
When you say fix, do you mean set that up, that bank transfer, so it's always...
Call them up and say, I want to pay off £30 a month.
So Barclaycard will help you do that. They will organise that.
Have that option. You are able to fix, you're able to clear and pay off in full, which is, of course, the perfect one, then you pay no interest, or you're able to set at the minimum repayment. Fix it. The only thing to be careful of is if you were to suddenly spend more and you weren't hitting the minimum repayment, there could be a problem. Right. But fixing repayments is way better than just paying the minimum repayments if it's your only card. If you've got lots of cards, pay as much off on the highest interest rate ones, the minimums on the rest, and then when the highest interest rate one goes, move to the next.
But don't let it just roll on, essentially. We've got some callers calling us up now. Natalie. Hello, Natalie. Good morning.
Morning, Natalie.
You're saying, can my partner claim child benefits, is the question you're asking.
Yes, morning.
Morning.
I live with my partner. We have 3 children, but we're not married. I stopped claiming child benefit a few years ago, and despite the new threshold, I still can't claim.
So you're above the top of the new threshold, just so I can be clear?
Yes, yes. But my partner isn't in the new threshold. But can he claim? Are we classed as single parents, or would the government look at our entire household income, including my income, my salary?
Well, you're both the parents of the children. You live in the house together. You are counted as a unit, and the rules on child benefit are simple and slightly strange. Now, I've campaigned for this change, and the change is coming. So the rules on child benefit are, it was until the 6th of April, the highest earner, if they earned more than 50,000, you started to lose some child benefit. More than 60,000, you didn't get the child benefit. The campaign that I and many others were involved in, that has now changed so that if you earn more than 60,000, you start to lose it, and you only lose it totally at 80,000. But that is about the highest earner's income. So in your case, if you're over it, you don't get it. Now, the other thing that was campaigned for, and I was at the forefront of this was one of my big calls, was that we should change it so it's on household income. Yeah. And in April 2026, they are consulting that it will change to household income. I need to be honest with you, I don't know what your partner earns, but if you're over the 80,000 threshold and your partner is earning something, I think it will still be quite questionable whether, even when they do it on household income, you would get child benefit. So I'm afraid the answer to you is no, but this is really important for anyone out there. If you're not getting child benefit now and the highest earner earns less than 80,000 in your family, start claiming child benefit. You will net be up, even though they'll take some back. If you're on 65,000, you will net be up. You need to go onto gov.uk. There is a form there to restart child benefit. And as I say, if no one in the household earns over 80 grand, you can claim now.
OK. We've got one in...
Even though we're not married,
you're a household. You're a household. Marriage, it's not about marriage in this particular one. Marriage only comes into the law in a few places. The marriage tax allowance, where you've got a basic rate tax with a non-payout. Inheritance tax, really important for marriage there, because you can move your inheritance tax allowance to your spouse, so you basically double it up on that one. But on this one, and on benefits, marriage.
Thanks, Natalie.
Sorry. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
Talking about inheritance now from Rebecca. She has £50,000 inheritance. Would like to know what the best savings account for her to put that into.
OK, so the thing to understand now that's changed over recent years is as interest rates have got higher, tax comes back into play. A basic rate taxpayer, someone who pays 20% tax, can earn £1,000 of interest a year without paying tax on it. A higher 40% rate taxpayer, 500 quid. So if we do some simple maths, you've got 50 grand, top savings are around 5%. You'd earn £2,500 a year interest. So assuming you're a basic rate taxpayer, you'd be taxed on it. So you'll want to look at a cash ISA. Yeah. A cash ISA is just a tax-free savings account which doesn't count towards that limit, so it's always taxed. And interestingly, right now, the top easy access cash ISA, this is very rare, pays more than the top normal easy access account. So it's Plum is the name of it. You're protected up to £85,000. You can earn 5.17% easy access. For normal savings principalities, 5% easy access. But I would be looking at, can you lock some of this money away to guarantee you a rate that pays more? Fixes change all the time. I'm not going to give you a rate because by the time you look, it'll be a different one. Yeah. So you go onto a website, look up top fixed rate savings. I'd be looking to lock some away in a fix. And if you're still worried about tax, you know, I'd always want to be putting, if I'm putting money in premium bonds, I want to put at least 5 grand in there. If you put less than 5 grand, the way the maths works, it's not worth it. But you might want to put some money in premium bonds because that's not taxed too. So you'd want 20 grand in taxable savings to use up your £1,000 limit, and the rest you'd probably want in tax-free savings like cash ISAs or premium bonds. And go and look at the instant rates online at the moment you're ready to do it. They change every day. OK. I have teams who sit there updating it. You know, that's their job, is just to monitor it every day.
All the time. This one is from Roy. He says, who is in charge of my TV and broadband contract? Last June, we purchased a Sky TV and broadband contract for 18 months with Currys. We were told at the time of signing there would be no increase in the price of £43. However, we've received a notification from Sky saying that there will be a £7 increase from April 2024. We've been in contact with Currys, but they told us to get in touch with Sky, which we've done. But Sky say that they cannot help and we need to speak to Currys. Which company do we have the contract with, and any consumer acts we can use?
Well, Curry has told you the wrong information. I mean, it is well known that Sky, like pretty much every broadband provider, has an above inflation rate mid-contract every April price rise, you know. Right. They all do. Again, it's a campaign I've been involved in. We hope we're going to see the end to that. They're going to move to pound and pence rises rather than above inflation rises. We hope that's going to be announced by Ofcom probably in the next couple of months. But you have a right to the right information from the retailer. Now, assuming you signed up in Currys and you paid Currys, then your contract is with Currys, and it is Currys that gave you the wrong information. So I would be going back to Currys. Now, your service level for Sky will be with Sky, but the general contract of your consumer rights, were you signed up right? I mean, depending how they structure it, I don't know. You don't say who you paid, so I'm having to do some guesswork. I would be fighting this with Currys. Currys gave you the wrong information. If you're not going anywhere in store, write a formal letter setting out, you gave me the wrong information. That is the reason I signed up. I would like to know how you're going to deal with it. If that doesn't work, you could speak to Citizens Advice Consumer Helpline. The biggest problem with consumer rights, and I gave evidence years ago to the Consumer Rights Bill Committee on this, is the point I made. They were like, do you like all the new consumer rights you've got? I'm like, yeah, great. But how do you enforce them?
So
because no ombudsman, you would actually have to go to court using the Money Claims Online Small Claims right. If Currys say no and you say yes, and they say no and you say yes, a bit like that, what you have to do...
You've got to do it yourself.
You've got to go... the only way to enforce it is to go online to Money Claims Online. That's the problem. Who's going to do that for a toaster, which is the problem with consumer rights?
Well, maybe Roy will try and do that. I mean, Citizens Advice, I think, is always a brilliant place to go to.
They're good to give advice, but you still... They can't make Currys pay. Only the court can do that.
Hopefully, Roy, if you take it to Currys...
Well, Currys... If you're listening, you gave the wrong information, get in touch. We'll get in touch with Roy. We'll sort it out. That's the way it should work.
Tell him Martin sent you. That tends to sharpen him up.
With his wiggly eyebrows.
Thank you for coming in. Lovely to see you as ever.
Thank you.